All right, so we'll get started tonight. It is 6 o'clock on the nose on June 26th for I guess we can call this an emergency meeting. It's now scheduled, but it was a meeting we did not have on the docket originally. A couple of special items to cover tonight as we get started. We will open it up first for public comment. I will open it up first for anybody in person, which there is nobody here. Anybody online, Steve?
No, sir.
No, nobody online. So we'll keep it open in the background if we need to, if somebody joins us here late, but we will move on to the first of the couple of items that are on our agenda tonight, and that is with some sad news. Not end of the world news by any means, but it's sad for the members of the board. I want to at least put it in context that we are announcing tonight the resignation of Victoria Parisi for family reasons from the Amherst School Board. She was in the third year of a 3-year term. She informed us last week and has included a letter of resignation in the agenda packet here tonight. All the board members have had a chance to review this letter. I don't know if anybody has any questions that I can answer. I believe Victoria reached out to us individually just as a courtesy to let us know that she was making this move for family reasons. It's a good move for her, but she's no longer eligible to be on the board. So with that, before we accept the resignation, does anybody have any questions? Anybody have any comments that they would like to make about Victoria or about the resignation? Barry?
So first, we just checked to make sure you have to live in Amherst, right, to be on the board? Is it?
You do have to live in Amherst. Yeah, I think that is about the one stipulation that you have to have. I don't even think you have to be a property owner to be in town. You just have to live in town.
I think she's a registered voter, is that correct?
All right.
Do you even have to register to vote?
So you have to be a registered
I
voter?
thought so. But maybe not.
That seems appropriate, but
No.
I'm not sure.
Mm.
No, all kidding aside, I just want to thank her for her time, both as a board member and previously as the head of JFAC, and then before that as head of PTA, and just all that she's given to this town, the countless hours. Ways and means, that's right.
The facilities, yeah. She's been a big proponent of that the last, 3 years, probably. One of those years when she wasn't even on the school board, so. Certainly will be missed in this board, and now we get the opportunity to go find a replacement for the next, 9 months or so, because this was the third year of her term. Whoever comes in as a replacement will serve the remainder of this term this year. And then because it's the end of the official term, it will be a 3-year position that'll be on the ballot next year that will hold an actual regular election for. There are no special elections that we do here, so it's on the board to be able to open this up for an interview process. If folks can nominate themselves by applying, and then we'll have interviews where we can go through and select the person that will fill in Victoria's role for the next 9 months. Before we get to that, though, I do want to take a motion to accept the resignation of Victoria tonight so that we can move on to phase 2. I have a motion from Shannon, and I'll take a second. All right, I have a motion, a second from Terry. Keep in mind, there are 4 of us tonight, so if somebody wants to get tricky, we can run into some problems for accepting this, but all that, I will call the votes with regret that we have to accept Victoria's motion tonight. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. It passes unanimously. Victoria is now no longer a member of the school board, but again, we thank her for her service on the board, and then prior to that, and wish her and her family the best of luck as they go on their next adventure. So with that, we go to phase 2 of this operation under policy BBBC, a board member or district officer resigning, or if there's a vacancy appointment. So what will happen now is we have an application, I believe, that is on the back end of the agenda tonight. They had to do this last in the end of 2018 when a board member resigned. There was an interview process, folks could apply. We'll have the same process going forward. We'll have a link. We'll be able to take applications, folks that want to be on the board. We'll then have those come to us. We'll do interviews. We'll talk to the board members, and then this board will nominate and select a person to fill that role for the remaining 9 months of Victoria's term. We've all seen the draft that was included in the packet. My one question for you, Steve, and you can provide any other color you'd like to on this. Is this the actual one that we'll use, or is this strictly what we used last time? Do you know?
So this was similar to the one we developed for Mount Vernon. They had a similar case. It's not precisely the same. So we went from the policy that dictates what information that you solicit, and questions were guided from the policy. Lately, we've been trying to do Google Forms. It's just easier to organize as opposed to letters. So we send the link out and then people respond.
Okay,
But whatever the board pleasure is.
no, I think that's fair. I think this board would like to see this spread around as widely as possible to get as much of a diverse collection of folks applying for it, at least a high number of folks applying for it. Does anybody have any questions on the actual application? My one comment on it, though, is just to make sure that we remove Abby's name.
Yeah.
She's gone at the end of the month, so I want to make sure that we are able to get an accurate name in there and whatever the new contact will be. That was the one thing that I noticed, but if anybody else has comments or questions on it, feel free to ask them. Shannon?
I have a question. So, when these are completed by interested parties, who will they go to? Like, will these be to ASB email or like at what point do we see them?
Whenever you want, typically we collect them and then share them. One thing that we didn't do in Mount Vernon that you may want is a application period.
Yes.
So it's next 20 days. We didn't have a defined period. We just closed it and that was a question at Mount Vernon. So if you want a 20-day, 15-day, 30 days, let us know.
So, some thoughts, can I say?
Yeah, okay.
So if we have potential retreat dates out there, I would love to get, this sewn up before our retreat, because I think those are big items that we want this, person, informed on. So my suggestion would be that we open it, tomorrow and leave it open through the 14th. And then set a date for like the 17th or 18th to hold interviews and make our decision and deliberate. That would be my suggestion looking at the calendar, not knowing anyone to schedule. That's almost a 3-week window.
Yeah, and I think we want to do more than Mont Vernon had the capabilities to, said, did they do, was it Mont Vernon that were in here for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, we put it out there. We just closed it before their last board meeting.
Okay, I'm thinking of something else.
That's how it was, just simple to do it. We closed it, I think, the day before last board meeting, and there was one applicant.
Yep, I think that's fine. So if we open it Tuesday and then close it the 14th, I think that's fine. I wanted to make sure we had enough padding around the holiday. So I'm sure a lot of folks are out of touch next week, and then, so still have a couple of days this week, and then we still have one full week after the 4th of July. I think will be beneficial. Anybody have any objections to that?
I think that works well.
Jason, Terry, that work for you as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll have that process. Going back to Shannon's point about the retreat date, if we can, actually, Steve, when we send out this information, if we can include that interviews will take place the week of July 17th. The only hesitation I have is July 20th. Not everybody was available for that first retreat we wanted to do.
So we can go back at it.
We'll have to go back at it. I sent an email to Abby this morning. I was thinking if we went earlier, it's not a big deal, but now knowing we're doing this, we may want to push it back later.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll dig on the dates some more.
To try to push it back maybe to the week of the 24th, or the 31st, even if they're close together with August 7th. I don't know if they have to be in particular order, but I know that there's some importance to get these done, but I think it would be beneficial to have all 5 of us there.
We made it a decision to get a doodle account, and we've seen that.
Oh, yeah.
So to help us to do some complex calendaring. So Abby will have that, and then Chelsea will have that. Abby's replacement is Chelsea. And so we'll get it out tomorrow, and we will add the calendar to that announcement. And then we will look back working with you, and we usually start with the board chair, vice chair, and calendars and go from there.
The 20th of November.
Just what it seems like.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know what the 5th member will be, but Terry's not available that week.
Okay.
So with only 3 of us potentially, I don't want to, for a conversation, like that we're trying to do. August 7th worked for everybody. And so with 4 of us, if we have to go August 7th, that'll be fine. I'm not worried about the hypothetical 5th member yet at that point. We won't worry about that until we find that person, but even still, we'll have 4 out of 5. But the 20th, knowing that we only have 3 out of 4 at this point.
We're trying to get the earliest possible for the facility
Yep.
discussion.
Totally
Including, but
fine.
once we get the board, then we gotta get Banwell, we gotta get others.
Yeah.
Because I hope it's Banwell would join us for that wonderful discussion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we're looking at shutting off applications then. by the
July
20th.
14th. So we'll start them on, in theory, Tuesday, the 27th, tomorrow of June, and then ending it on July 14th, a Friday.
Okay, but then if we do interviews with them, I'm not back until.
Correct.
24th.
You're gone that week as well.
So why don't we just have that extra week and what does it hurt?
Yeah, let's plan to end it. Let's see what we get for the retreat date, and then we can adjust the end date now. We'll,
Okay.
gotcha.
Can I have a question? Do we have to hold in-person interviews. I know when other boards in the past, when this has happened, have. I don't think had in-person interviews. There's been an application review.
It's,
I don't know how.
It's gone both ways. It's gonna go both.
I don't,
it's open for discussion. To me, it's, I think.
that helps with the summer schedule.
It does, but I think it's for transparency and for thoroughness. I think it's helpful to do in-person interviews. Even if we have to do something on a Zoom, I think it's beneficial just if there are people that we don't know. That are applying and may be qualified in some capacity and you have a conversation. I think that's helpful. We can certainly determine the number of applicants that we have. If it's even necessary to do interviews, but I think it's helpful and I think for transparency, I think it's the right way to do it.
So those interviews take place in a non-public or a public?
Correct, non-public.
Reputation.
I think it's a non-meeting, if that's,
Yeah.
or is it just non-public?
It's probably non-public.
Are y'all on the week of the 10th? I know that you guys have overlaps.
July 10th?
Yeah,
Oh, no.
I'm gone the 10th and the 11th. But I'm back the rest of that week and then I'm gone the 26th, 27th, and 28th.
what if we only left it open 2 weeks? Because honestly. 2 weeks seems to.
It's just next week's the 4th, and that gets a little tricky. Just with, again, being open and forthright with the communication for it. How many people can we, with the 4th of July next week, how many people are out of town?
So we back coming week was the 11th, and then we did interviews the 13th, we were excited the 13th.
Yeah, we could do that, close it the 11th, that'd be,
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I feel
Yeah.
like those who are tapped in enough that they want to be part of the board,
I'm just wondering.
if we get the word out, it'll probably get to people fairly quickly.
yeah, I don't, why don't we do it the 10th, or we're going to do the 11th, we'll have 2 full weeks to keep it open, then we can do we can do interviews, we can just schedule a meeting now for July 12th. Say that that'll be our interview date, and then, or even the 13th, we'll do our interviews then, and we can make a decision that night. The last time they went through this, it was decided that night, 2018, who they wanted to nominate, so you can nominate in a non-public, or have a non-public, do your interviews 15 minutes each, and then deliberate, yeah.
Yeah, I like being done sooner, and that way we can for sure make sure that we choose that middle retreat date that they could be.
Yeah, that's fine.
So just to make sure I got it, out tomorrow, close the 11th, plan to interview on the 13th.
Does that work for everybody?
Yeah,
Interview the 13th or the 12th. 13th, we have 5 to 6.
We can reschedule that one, that's a small meeting.
well, there's 5 to 6, want to just do this.
6
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we can do 6.
If you're already in the building,
Yeah, we're gonna be here anyway, so might as well.
Yeah.
I could do that, so 6 o'clock on the 13th.
Yeah, 13th.
And if it's applicant, because we're having a hard time finding dates that we have available, so. We're assuming that anyone who applies is available. What is there, like? are we-
We'll have to see what that is. I mean, if it's 10 people apply and 9 are available, then I think we just go with it, yeah. I mean, it is what it is,
I
right?
think we could probably Zoom, I mean, I see no reason we couldn't, if they're.
Yeah, if it's a one-off, if we have to, do a Zoom, we could certainly do
Or they
that.
could send a letter.
Yeah.
I've seen that too.
So 11, 13, we're in
It's
for 11.
I've seen it all.
We're in for 11 and 13, 6 o'clock, after our 5,
I'm asking all the questions.
after our 4, so, yeah. Cool beans,
Yeah,
works.
thanks.
you got it.
That's it, sounds good.
Is the meeting at 17? That day? Like, yeah, it's here, let's just do it all here.
Yeah.
Can be here, yeah, it's not gonna be a heavy attended meeting,
Non-public anyway.
non-public anyway.
Correct.
It was a totally selfish thing, this is 5 minutes closer for me, so it works for me.
Okay,
Great.
I got it, so
all right,
that'll
so
be out tomorrow.
27th to July 11th, we'll interview the July 13th, we'll have a decision that night, so we can schedule that retreat and get the 5th person as part of that. So,
You got it.
great.
And the application's fine, Abby's name to change to Chelsea and add the dates that we just talked about in the
Correct.
application and the
Yep.
communication.
Yep.
Cool.
That's
All
good.
right, thank you.
Okay, great. So moving on from that then, the only other item on our agenda in the public session was the unassigned fund balance that Steve and Amy wanted to address, so I will turn it over to them to discuss that.
Sure, this follows our last board meeting. The Building and Grounds met to review, just to once again go through the portable, the costs and implications and gains, as well as the renovation of the alcove And Building and Grounds felt that a really significant amount of money for the portable as well as the alcove. So Building and Grounds did not bring that forward. But we did talk about adding a office trailer. An office trailer adds 2 spaces, and the one that Roger got a quote for, one space would be a conference room, the other space would be adult workspace. If we, so it's about $60,000 all in on an office trailer, much different than a portable. Currently, the conference room is in the area behind the stage. So in talking with Christine and Kathleen did a walkabout throughout the building, trying to determine with an office trailer how this would support it. And we were able to move music to either front stage or backstage with panels, because the conference room then goes to the office trailer. And a very light reno of painting and some movement of stuff in the alcove could create that into with a table, a small group workspace. And so there's a move, so it's a fundamental change in on the fund balance project list is the portables is out of the list. The renovation of the alcove is out, right? The 43 and the cost of the portable in is $10,000 for painting and soundproofing to able to move the music program to the stage area, and the $60,000 for the lease and installation of the office trailer. Think it's really just the right balance. It delays music on a cart a year to see. This is not a long-term investment in the office trailer. I believe that I have worked out of an office trailer, both as administrator as well as for a construction project, and found the office trailer conference room with Wi-Fi, with perfectly fine, perfectly respectful for them. This isn't a kid play. This isn't a kid, this is adults they come to have a conference meeting. I find it perfectly acceptable and to do it. And so we think it's the right balance of a little bit of money, but we haven't moved, but the music program stays as strong as we can get it. There's still some public pain in this, right? That we're not doing, but I think it's the right balance. I appreciate the Building and Grounds piece. And so Amy and I went through all the project lists, reordered, reallocated, reviewed, and would like support that if the funds are available to allocate beyond, now remember, this is beyond the articles, right? And beyond the tax rate impact. So it's beyond the 1.38. If the whatever money beyond the 1.38 up to $280,000 will be allocated for these projects. That's the goal for tonight. Amy will keep us updated on when we get there, but we do have to encumber by June 30. But we can release encumbrances. If we don't have the money, it just goes. But we think that's what's best for kids and what's best right now. Kathleen is informed. She understands it, and truly, she's at a conference today. She said she'd be very excited if this was happening tonight because it does do some aesthetics and a small group workspace in the alcove. You with me? It's a respectful conference room and music on a cart, not yet. It's not perfect. This isn't a great solution. And I would ask the board to consider sometime next couple of weeks, writing a letter to the Amherst citizen about this process, about what you considered other things. You didn't spend $350,000, but you went to a place trying to have some facility support, but not all the way in. And I think what you've done is your fiduciary responsibility and what's best for kids. If you can do this tonight, I think it's a good balance. But I also think the community needs to know what you're wrestling with and try to figure out what's best for kids and also the taxpayer. And I think if this goes through, this is the right balance tonight. I don't know if I was fair. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Questions? Jason?
Yeah, last time, I forget what the exact number was, it was 85,000, right?
It's about 100K, I think is what it was, yeah.
So just in addition to that, it's
No, this is all in.
all in, so it'd be like almost an amendment to that.
Correct.
That we did last time.
But it's also an increase of 200 or 180% too. It's, from
Correct.
100,000 to 280.
And all this does is if we have the funds available, instead of sending this additional 180 to the town, which would increase, remember, that increases your revenue. And if you don't hit it next year, then you've had a negative impact. You've met your obligation. When you stood up in front of this town and said, we're going to have this much back, you've done that. And now it's reducing your expense because this would come back next year in the budget and not increasing the revenue. So this is I think, and many of my colleagues throughout the state thinks it's good stewardship. You met your obligation to the community, but you're also taking care of necessary projects. minding tax rate stabilization.
Shannon?
I like this plan, I would support this because everything, I appreciate administration taking this list back and really taking another stab at it. I feel like you heard some of our concerns at the last meeting, so I know that's not easy stuff, so thank you for that. I think there's a common refrain in this community that says, we pay our taxes, why don't you do these things? I think the items on this list are things that our community would expect us to do, security cameras at the middle school. You know, these are pretty basic things that we should be taking care of in the schools, shoring up the existing portable, leveling that. I don't think it's excessive in terms of any heartburn about not giving, you know, additional money back. So, you know, for me, it makes sense.
So is this ranked in order of 1 through, was it 5, 7, 11, 1 through 11 priority wise, or are we just gonna bounce around the list?
No, it's our priorities. It's cheating a little bit. We tied some at ones and we tied some at fours.
So the camera system and the portable trailer, that would be the first 147 that you had.
Now, obviously, we only have 42,000. We knock off some low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Because we don't.
You can't do a full project.
Exactly. So we fill up the bucket with the highest priority that we can to base on the amount that we have.
Now, in terms of, you know, talking about revenue for next year and expenses and all that, what if these projects come in for less than 280? We're
And
nothing we can do at that point.
it goes back to that.
Okay, so there may be some instance, I'm just looking at one of these projects, it was 5,500 proposed, but it was 38, you know, 6 months ago, we had a quote for 38, so it's, again, it's only $1,500, but it's still inevitably that money has to go back at that point. There's nothing else that we're gonna be adding to this list.
Yeah.
After, okay.
But at some point in the fall, school districts do have the ability, like the town, to put money away for future. It's allocated up to 2.5%, 3.5% of your budget. You can put in the savings account, like in the community that I live in, they had, when I left, they had $1 million for the rainy day fund. So that we don't have that ability because this community has not supported the town meeting. Sorry, at the deliberative and the SB2 vote. So it's something, we don't talk about that tonight. But if there was an opportunity, you could put that money away for tax rate stabilization in the future. But it's not a tonight thing.
Yeah. All right, everybody have any questions on this?
How likely, because I know last time we talked, it was like, this money's actually not even really. possible.
Yeah.
B,
Nothing's changed yet. We have our final check run this week for Amherst. And then there can actually be chargebacks after the end of the fiscal year, so we want to wait till those come in. So HRA also gets processed in July, so we're a little ways out from knowing. But I expect there'll be some.
yeah, I mean, I guess my question for me is, I will say that I don't want to see music on the cart.
Correct.
I don't want to see that, so I guess the reason that I'm asking is, if the money's not there, should we be seriously considering CRF?
Right, we'll come back to you then.
We will come back.
Okay, I just want to make sure there's enough time.
There will be, especially,
The
it looks like
CRF,
we're.
that doesn't go away, so.
Right, no, but I'm saying, like, to get the trailer, put the trailer in place,
I see.
have it all connected, because it's
Yeah.
not, you know,
Yeah,
it's
like
not
that.
like we can snap our fingers and next weekend it's there.
Yeah.
Especially for meeting July 13th or whatever.
Yeah.
You
Guys
guys.
keep throwing meetings out
Yeah.
there. July 3rd, anybody want to meet next Monday?
Amy will reach out to Roger, and if there is a time sensitive nature to this.
He's been blocking me. He's already like reaching out to an electrician to, you know, get things.
Is it a
underway,
lease in that
so.
car, or we actually buy it?
Please.
Lease it. Does that 60,000 go down next year?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, some of that's installed as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, anybody want to make a motion to accept up to, or to allow 200, up to 280,000 to be used out of unassigned fund balance for the list of projects?
I'll make that,
No, but
I'll make that motion.
All right, Jason makes, Shannon second. Okay, any other questions? All right, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, passes.
thank you.
All right, so 4-0 that. Thank you, Amy. Thank
Did have
you.
that for
Thank
tonight.
you.
Steve.
It's great.
Last item for the public portion of the agenda, we do have a quick non-public. It'll take 2 minutes in non-public, but I wanted to make sure that we discussed it tonight. Anything you want to add to this nomination, Steve?
No, you,
This is not the non-public. This is just
right,
a.
so
nomination.
last week this was on the nomination list, but I noticed that Christine and I hadn't a chance to finish it. We did finish it, and just to be fully transparent, the step number has increased. I reviewed and based on competitive nature of this, we were okay moving it up 2 steps. So I just want to be honest about that, but this is the Kendall Hoover position. Remember, we had that resignation, it's listed there.
Yep.
And so this is the nomination. So you've seen this name before, it just wasn't official until Christine and I finished our gig.
Going to step 8 or going to step 10?
This is 2 step 8, this is it, this is it, this is now accurate.
Okay. Any questions? Take a nomination, take a motion to accept the nomination as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Jason? Second? Shannon? All in favor? All ayes, and that'll pass as well, 4-0. All right, so I'll take a motion now to go into, actually, I'll take our final non-public. Any attendees tonight?
Just Danae, but she's taking
Just
the
tonight,
minutes.
she's taking minutes. Nobody is in person, so I'll close public comment tonight, and I'll take a motion to go into non-public.
Motion going to non-public.
Jason has the motion. Second. Shannon has a second. Roll call vote starting with Jason.
What, yes?
Gascoigne, yes.
Gothier, yes.
Yes.
And today we are non-public at 6:26. Thank you for your time tonight.